Okay, looks like everybody got A. It's where the acceleration is positive, is when the derivative is bigger than 0. 1 point for each interval. Sorry. 1 point for each interval and then 1 point for the reason. The College Board wrote it the velocity is increasing. That's okay either way. That's not the way I taught it, but because I think the other way is easier. It's easier for me. Yes. Oh, sorry. Now find the average acceleration. Some of you have forgotten this. It's an average rate of change. There's an instantaneous rate of change and an average one. So what's the average? It's not a derivative, it's a slope. Okay, I want the average acceleration of the car. Now, what is acceleration? It's the VDT, that's instantaneous. Okay, guys? But if I want the average, what is that? It's the change in the velocity over the change in the time. So I want it between 0 and 50. So I want to use this ordered pair and this ordered pair. Oh, did I do the wrong one in the other class? I might have. And 50. No, it's right. Now, what are they going to want to see on the exam? That's the big question. You can either do V of 50 minus V of 0. You have to show the subtraction over 50 minus 0. If you do that, then you must show 72 minus 0 over 50 minus 0. This will give you full points. Yes. It's only 1 point for this part. So if you don't show the difference here, the 72 minus 0, even though you have 72 over 50, you will not get the point. Now, this was 1998. I think you got the answer if you just did answer only, but not anymore. So you have to show this part right there, or that one of the two. They want to see that. Remember, you want to convince the reader you know what you're doing. So this was 3 points. This is 1. This is 2. What's it asking for? I want the acceleration at t equals 40. This is the problem that you have. You have to read the questions and figure out what they're asking. I want the acceleration at t equals 40. So at this point right here, that's one method. You can use the graph. What's another way to do it? Which 2 points? You could do 35 and 45. You also could do 35 and 40 or 40 and 45. There's a lot of ways to do it. We're finding slope. Have you done it? Try it. We'll check our answer in a second. So if you can remember, that's just average acceleration's average rate of change. You should have an easy 4 points. No, very few people get 9s. When I get a 9, I go, oh, I got a 9, because it just doesn't happen. Or sometimes we'll get like 5 9s in a row when I'm grading papers, because they're all from the same school. If you can average 6 points out of 9 on FRQs, you're in great shape. They grade hard because they do check for your work. So if you come up with 72 over 50, you will not get that point unless you show them this or the subtraction process. You have to do one or the other because they're picky on that. So even if you have the right answer, so make sure you learn from me on how to show your work.
For the exam, if it's true that like they grade it like 50%, like what you did with
About.
the final?
About.
Okay.
But if everybody does poorly on the exam, they don't bring the curve down at all. So a couple years ago, not that many people passed. They didn't lower their standards. Okay, let's check our answer. Whoopsie. No, don't worry, because we have lots of practice time. This is the start of it. You can't go by grades. You have to go by, did you do the practice problems? Even if you got C's and D's and you did the practice problems and you understood them, you'll do fine. Because I've had students get A's in my class and get a 1 on the exam because they didn't do the practice problems. Yeah, both, especially the ones I'm going to give you. Okay, so you get your point there, but you got to show all that work. Okay, what about D? So we've got 6 points. Yeah, we did. Oh, you're right. All these are possible. You get 1 point for your method. So you must show one of these two if that's what you did. It's not enough for just the answer. You will lose. You lose 2 points out of that. So if you just write down -3, you will get nothing. Does that make sense? Why do they only give you what? You have 15 minutes. Doesn't take it. I'm teaching this, so it takes longer. But I'm not teaching. It doesn't take that long. If you showed all your work on the slope of the tangent line, I think you'll get full points. Then I get my calculator out and I test your work to see if it's right. Best to read out of the table. And lately it's always been, it has to come from the table, not the graph. Okay, so what are we up to? That's 6. We haven't even done the easy part. At least I think it's the easy part. Okay. Now, it says approximate with a Riemann sum using midpoints of 5 subintervals. You had a homework problem like this. In 5.1, it was number 17, which we'll do if we need to. And 24 is the other one. It wasn't hard. Did you really? Okay. Now, I can go to the graph. Okay, you guys? I can go to the graph, and I want to use the midpoint on this interval, so I'm going to take the midpoint for my height. Is that okay? Yeah. No. Because it says use a midpoint. It says use a midpoint. We did that. Well, it depends on how you did it. If you estimate off the graph, -2 might be okay for this process. These are the other answers. You could average these two. It's a lot of work. You're pretty good. Okay, you ready? Okay, it says midpoints of 5 subintervals of equal length. So it says I'm going to use the midpoint rule. So then I'm going to come here, and the height will be the height at the midpoint. So it's going to be this one. And then I'm going to go here. It helps me to see the picture. And I want that one. I'm going to get 5 of these. Now, the midpoint, this one's going to actually lie above the graph a little bit. And then I want the midpoint here. So the midpoint is your height. And all you're going to do is find the areas. That's not calculus. This one, they found the slope. They estimated off the graph, 35. And that's what they don't like. They'd rather they actually use the point. So they drew a little tangent line just like I did. And they went to 35, and they estimated that. Because that's what I want to do. And then, so that's 35.90, and then the other point would be this one, which would be 45.60. So they drew the tangent line and estimated the slope. They didn't use the points. Generally speaking, that's not a good plan. You're better off using the table. Yes. No, unfortunately, no colored pens on the test. I know, I don't like that. And I don't really know why. You have to have a calculator. Okay, so there you go. There's the base. How big are all the bases? 10. Well, I'm kind of lazy. And then I want to find V of what? Where's the midpoint? It's at 5, so it's v of 5. Here's the plan, plus, and then this base is also 10, and then it's v of what? 15. And how many of these should I have? Then I do this one, so it's v of 25, plus, and then this one, v of 35, plus, and v of 45. And then if you wrote this out like this, then you must put the numbers in. If you just put the numbers in, that's fine. So that's 12. You guys see? Oops, I don't want that parentheses in. Well, you don't have to simplify it. Plus, what's v of 15? V of 15 is 30. Plus, 25 is 70. I would write this down because when you come into studying, I'm going to give you this problem again. See, 81 plus 60. And if it were me, I would leave the answer. It takes time to add it up, and you don't have to. That gets you full points. Yeah, because if you add it up wrong, guess what? I got to take a point back. And I don't like to do that. But we all whine about it. They go, okay, just not simplified. So you have that advantage right now, knowing, because I'm a grader. What is the meaning of the integral? If you add up the velocity times the time, that means you're going to take, was it feet per second times the number of seconds. What are you left with? Feet. So this is the total what? What do feet measure? Distance. Now that's not enough. That's not enough in feet. It says using correct units. When in doubt, put the units in. Get in the habit of putting the units in. If they don't ask for the units and you do the units wrong, no problem. If they ask you for the units and you don't do them, that's a problem. That's the point. So it's the total distance traveled in feet. When? During the first, when did this happen? The first 50 seconds. There's many ways to write this. So I don't like these because I actually have to sit down and read. They slow me down. That's your third point. Let's go look at, see what they did here. Gives you the distance you traveled. I would use distance, not displacement. I don't know how picky they would be on that. Because it is an integral, it is displacement, but it does represent the distance. What is an integral, by the way? The integral from A to B, it's the area, it's the signed area under the curve. Okay, so tomorrow what we're going to do, we're going to do trapezoidal rule 5-5, but I've already kind of talked about it, so that'll take like 2 seconds. And then you can do another problem off the AP packet I'm going to give you. And we're going to take a little quiz on the algebra packet that I gave you. And all the answers are online tomorrow. So make sure you get that done, and hopefully you'll do well. Because if you do really well, you're done. If you don't do well, there will be a retake. Okay, so try to do really well the first time. And the problems are right off your packet. It's the total distance traveled. An integral is a signed area. So what happens if I do this? Because what's the y coordinate here? I'm going to go this direction. Delta x is positive. But what's the y coordinate here? Y is less than 0. F is less than 0. In this one, delta x is positive, and that's a positive. This is a signed area. So if you have a negative number, more of the curve is under the graph than over the graph. Well, it depends. If I go from 0 to 3, delta x is positive. What if I go from 3 to 0? Delta x is negative. So order matters. Okay. Only if I want this start here. I just said delta x, I didn't say what the integral was. Did you guys catch that? I'm just talking about delta x would be negative. So what happens if you do this one? and you start here and you go from 0 to negative 3, my delta x is negative, but my y value is negative, so I'm going to end up with a two negatives make a positive. And that feels counterintuitive. At least it does to me. So I'm going to give you another handout, and then we're going to do questions, because I wasn't here Friday to do questions on 5-1. And I know that 17 and 24 are problems, but there may be ones other than those. And now that we've done this problem, it should be a little easier. Then we'll do some questions on 5-2. So it's kind of a catch-up day. You cannot do everything in this packet. You can do the first problem. I don't even know if it's the right packet, to tell you the truth.
Do I have to reduce it more than that?
You have to put the numbers in.
So
You have
do
to
I
say what
I
B
don't
of
have
5
to add
is.
it up, though? I don't
Nope.
have to add it up.
Mm-mm.
So I can say 12.
Pink sheet. And everything's online. It's when you go into the AV folder, you go all the way down to the bottom. It's the last folder. So it's not in a chapter folder. Sorry.
I did.
Okay, let's do some questions. We have a lot to do. I hate it when I'm gone. Let's delete that page. Oh. No, I forgot to erase that. Okay, guess what? This looks like the problem we just did, doesn't it? This is 17 and 5.1. Do you guys do this problem? There are two problems to this problem. Now, the last class said we want you to graph it, so I did. So you want me to graph it? And we're going to use both the left RAM and the right RAM. And what are my T's? My T starts at 0 and goes to 16, counts by 5s. I may not have enough room. I can count. Yes, it is. Okay, guys. For those you need to do this, now I'm collecting this assignment today, so if you don't have it done, you should write it down. This is number 17. 5.1, not 5.2. It was my mistake. I'll admit it. I should have typed it. Well, you can turn in 5.2 and you can give me 5.1 tomorrow, but you should have had, this is all that was left in 5.1. You should have done the other 5.1 before. We can. Let's finish this one. Okay, and it says, guys, this is the velocity and the time, and if I add up the area under the curve, I'll get the distance. So I'm going to graph some points here. At 0, I'm at 1. At 5, I'm at 1.2. 10, I'm at 1.7. 15, I'm up at 2. I don't know if I'm going to do them all. 1.8. No, this is the assignment. Day 1. Day 2. Right there. Okay. You guys, which one do they say to use first? The left? Okay, so the left. One of these endpoints you won't use. So here's my height, and I'm going to hit on the left side. So this is going to be over here. Which endpoint are we not going to use? It's the very last one. So here it's going to be this side. So what's true about all the bases? They're all the same. They're 5. I like that. And so then I can do V of 5. My axis is off, but that's, I'm sorry. V of 10 plus V of 15. And the last one's V of 55. And you just read it right out of the table. That's all. So what's V of 5, just so we get some of it started? And all you have to do is write it. It's 1.2. I don't care if you get your calculator out and evaluate it. That's not what I'm looking at. Then it's, oh, I forgot the first one, V of 0. Didn't I forget that one? I forgot both endpoints. That's not good. V of 0 was 1 plus V of 5 is 1.2 plus 1.7 plus 2 plus 1.8. And the last one is 1.2. And the answer is right there. So I would use a calculator. 5220. But I don't have to add it up. That's good enough. Now, I wouldn't use the dots. They won't ask you to do so many intervals, by the way. How about hitting on the right side? You would add that up. No, because they're all different. There's no rhyme or reason to the height of that. The bases are all the same, but they don't even have to be all the same. Okay, so in this one, it's going to be this rectangle. So it's 5 times V of 5. It's not starting at 0, so we're not going to have the V of 0. Plus V of 10, plus V of 15. Is this going to use the V of 60? Yes. Because they're hitting on the right side, wherever that is. It's this rectangle. And that was equal to, I don't know, 4920. The concept is that you need to know that you're going to add up the area under the curve and draw the rectangle. Midpoint's the best. And I suppose you could average these if you wanted to. I think it's the same as getting the midpoint. But they'll give you nice numbers like the ones we just did. Questions? No? Casey? I'm sorry. You guys can't hear. What? One was the left. This was LRAM. And this was on the right side. That's it. What are you going to do? Add them up? I don't have them all listed. There you go. You got to add them up that way. But look for the patterns because the bases are all the same. But be careful. On the exam, the bases are not always all the same. You have to read it. No, you'd have to list them all, but they wouldn't ask you for so many. Are we ready to go to the next one? There was another question on this section, I thought. Somebody said something, I don't remember what it was. But I thought we might want to look at 24. Well, this is what we're going to be doing when we get to volume. And all I have to do is add up the volume for all the cylinders. What is, and any questions you have, this is 5-1. So if you had done the first half, which I did half of that too, and this is half of the second half, you should really, even though I messed up and said 5-2, you should still have this done. So what is the volume for a cylinder? Base times height. That's exactly right. That's very good. And the area of the base is pi r squared h. So how many of these cylinders do you have to add up? 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like just 4. It says estimate. It says 5 intervals. Oh, how big is the cylinder at the origin? 0. The radius is 0. So if you wanted to add them all together, write them separately. So it's 0 plus, and it's pi. And what's the radius here? This is what? F of 1. That's going to be squared. And what's about the thickness of all my cylinders? It tells you they're all equal length. It's 5 sub-intervals of equal length. So how big is the height? 1. plus pi, then it's f of what? 2 squared times 1. How many do I have to write down? I got 3 plus pi. Oh, no, I need this one. This one, they just didn't draw this thing. That's what it is. Okay. So it's pi f of what? 3 squared times 1 plus pi f of 4 squared times 1 plus, oh, no, that's it. That's right. It's just hard. I'm too close to it. I can't. It doesn't look 3D. Now when I get away from it, it looks more 3D. So the first radius is 0. And that's it. All you have to do is put them in there. It's pi times 1 squared plus pi times 2 squared plus pi times 3 squared plus pi times 4 squared. And you get this number. Without a calculator, do you see what number that is? Not 30 pi. 10 pi. Oh, it's a square root. Well, this would work nicely if it was squared, but it was a square root. But you have to square it. So it's the square root of 2 squared. Square root of 3 squared. Square root of 4 squared. Yes, it's going to be pi times 1 plus 2 plus, well, no, not if I did that other one. I'd be off by something. Pi plus 4 pi. 7 and 2, 9, 10. 10 pi. 10 pi is a great answer. Yeah, not with the squares. Sorry. And now you have time for other questions. And we'll start tomorrow with this little worksheet because I don't have the picture there. Oh, sure. I might need your pink sheet, though, because I think all mine are gone. This is number 11 on the algebra review. Now, some of these problems I put on there were some that I saw students make mistakes on the exam. Oh, thank you. You need to, actually, what I would do with this one, no, but that wasn't it. Because it was a free response and you had to do that, not simplifying, but you had to solve. And they made a mistake. In particular, number 18. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do X cubed. Thank you. Now, there's a trick. If you substitute in 0, you get 0 over 0. Now, you guys, you show that. If you were asked to do a limit, you show it gets to be 0 over 0. Because one year, if you didn't do that, you didn't get any points. This was a BC calculus question where they had to do that. You're not going to have that. But now we're going to do a trick because I get 0 over 0, which tells me, and unfortunately, it's not a nice little polynomial. So I have to think of something clever to do. So I'm going to multiply by the conjugate. Now, what's the sign going to be then? Plus. And that's all over this. Okay. And then what do? You distribute. By cancel, I'm back to where I was. So let's go ahead and distribute this. Now it's this whole numerator that gets distributed. I have to do each piece. So what happens when I multiply these guys together? I need a new color. So I multiply this guy times this one. It gets rid of the radical. So I get x plus h squared plus 3. What about the middle terms? What about this one and this one? If I chose it this way. That's a minus, that's a plus. What's going to happen? They're going to cancel out, remember? And then I'm going to do the last term. And so I multiply that out, and I'm left with x squared plus 3. What comes before this? A minus. Do I need parentheses? Yes. Now, where this might occur in the exam is you'd be given the limit, you tell me what the function is. So before we're done, when we're done, let's go back and do it that way. And then you'll just use a derivative the way you know how to do one. You don't have to do the limit like this. For our algebra review, yes, you do. Well, I can't do anything. If I put in 0, I still get 0 over 0. So I can't think of anything to do but expand that. What is that? Plus 2xh plus h squared plus 3. And in my class, I promise you, everything's going to cancel out, just about, not everything, if you do it right. And what did I forget? I forgot my denominator here, which is classic. So it is, because that's what you guys do all the time. That's plus 3 under the radical plus this. So that's multiply those out. But let's not multiply them. And so it's this mess here. H, some of you multiplied them out, but don't do that, because the only way you can cancel it is if it's a multiplication problem. There. Yes. I forgot my denominator, so it's still got to be there. And then, what's going to go away? The x squared will go. The 3 will go. So everything here, this f of x that's left there, will be gone. Not yet. Not yet. So what are we left with? It's a lot of writing. I agree. But if you're an engineer, there's a lot of writing. I can factor h, and I'm still left with this mess. You could square that out if you wanted to, but why? Okay. And if I factor out an h, life is going to be nice. You're left with 2x plus h. The trick is to multiply by that conjugate. What happens to h's? They cancel. H goes to 0, so I'm just left with 2x here. And what am I left with here? H goes to 0, so I'm left with the square root of x squared plus 3. Don't simplify. Plus that square root. You can simplify. I'll give you full credit for that, though. But you could factor out a 2 there. It's 2 times x. And there are 2 of those x squared. Yeah, it does. Wait till you get to engineering. Who's going to be an engineer? It takes the entire page. Yes. So it's x over the square root of x squared plus 3. But I'm okay with this because that's not what I'm testing. I'm testing the other part of the algebra. Is that okay? Other algebra ones? Yeah, I was just thinking. Now, 13 will be just like this one. This one's harder. But 13 is identical. You're going to multiply by 2 plus the square root of 8x. But 14 is a fraction problem. Okay, what are we going to do here? Oh, my goodness, the time is going by fast. I am here tomorrow morning. Oh, my watch is way wrong. Okay, we can get this started at least. You need to turn in 5-1 before you leave. Or 5-2 if you got that one done, not 5-1. Well, I'll give it back. Okay, you guys, these are complex fractions. Hey, Noah? Noah? When in doubt, I don't want these denominators here. Multiply them together. Do not multiply the denominator out. You guys asked for this. You got a couple minutes. Not as good as my mac one. Okay, what happens to x plus 1? These guys will cancel. I'm going to get 5 times 3. And the 3's are going to cancel here, so it's minus 5 parentheses x plus 1. And then just leave it like this. And then go ahead and multiply that out. Because I don't know what else to do. So it's 15 minus 5x minus 5. I remember this problem. And what happens when you do that? What's 15 minus 5? We may have an algebra issue here. I don't know. 10 minus 5x over x minus 2 times 3 times x plus 1. What can you factor out of this? Now be careful. That's 2 minus x. Declan, how does this relate? 2 minus x and x minus 2 are opposites. What happens if you divide a number by its opposite? This is number theory. What if I take a 2 divided by negative 2? It's negative 1. Negative 5 over 3x plus 1, and we're going to take the limit as x goes to 2. Okay, did you get that right, Declan?
Yeah.
Thought you asked me for this one.
No.
Okay, guess what? It's time to go. Turn in 5-1. If you didn't do 5-1 and did 5-2, turn that one in. Make sure your name's on it. It's clearly labeled.